Hello, hello. This is Moon Goddess. I know it's the wee hours. Happy Venus Day. Happy Friday. I'm about to switch it around like this. Excuse me. I'm gonna turn it off. Hey, this is Moon Goddess. Let me make sure. What? What did it say? Oh, it's still on the line. Oh, orientation is rotate device. Okay. I'm having a little. Oh well. Let's see. Oh wow. I gotta do it like this. This thing. Okay. Well, we're gonna see what happens. Make sure I can see. Make sure y'all can see me. No, you can't see me, can you? Shoot. There we go. Now, apology. It be like that sometimes. I do this for the people. All right, I hope y'all can see me. Let me make sure. Yeah. I'm gonna work this thing. Anyway, I got the back camera on, so I can't chat none of that. I need to go. I think I'm gonna go on my other device so I can actually see what y'all saying. But hello, we about to get into this reading. Y'all see my title? We're gonna be talking about. I don't know if I can bring it up because I got this thing. Yeah, like it don't want to come on, but anyway, we're gonna be talking about the Pisces full moon. And if I can't get on my other devices, cause I'm trying to I'm setting my stuff up. So after a while, I'll be able to be on all the platforms and doing the StreamYard and all that. But y'all, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, but it's not all bad, with the balance of things. Hello, this is Moon Goddess 777. Welcome to my page. Support our organization, Maya's Temple of Healing and Unconditional Love. We have actually been, what is it called? I don't know if that's the right word with the IRS, but it passed with the IRS, and they was telling me that's a very good thing. So, the London Bridge wasn't built overnight, but we're moving steady and we're moving forward. Progress in the right direction, even if it's baby steps, it's good. It means you're moving, forward and everything. So I'm trying to, got like I said, got some stuff coming up. I'm gonna let y'all know, but the stuff I'm doing is it's gonna be in another state. But I still plan to do some other stuff. When I'm back home, I'll do some stuff there like I've been doing. But I'm doing some outreaches in another area now. So but I will keep everyone updated. If you want to donate, you can donate. You can hit me up in the comments if you want to donate to our organization, and it's Maya's Temple at gmail.com. And we have also a new phone number that's coming for the organization. And like I said, we got some other things, but definitely we're getting ready to do outreach in the community because it's a need here. Where what we do is we, counsel people, feed the community, show unconditional love and healing. We're not just talking about it, we're actually doing it. We are actually hiring more employees. I actually have gotten to the point where I'm ready to actually bring on a more team of people where I'm actually able to, register them with the IRS and all this and that, my employees and stuff like that. So we are expanding. And a lot of times, it's good to speak things into existence. And once you speak it, those things, it's not as though they were. And it's in the wee hours, y'all. So I may be, getting matted up and all that, but I'm checking. I'm just checking to make sure I'm still on because okay. Sorry. But, we started from humble beginnings. Even to this point where I am now, it's a really wonderful thing that I thank the Big Mama, I thank Mama Universe, I thank the Righteous Father Spirit. I believe in the higher source. I definitely do. I thank the ancestors. I thank the son, the daughter, the spirit guides, the orishas, the gods and the goddesses, the cosmic royal family, the archangels. I'm really so grateful because I may not be where I should be, but I'm definitely not where I used to be, and I have been being tested, and that's what it's about. You know, we chose to come here, and it's not a greater time to be alive than a time like this. It's not a better time to be alive because this we are at a place in the present that we've never been before. Do y'all realize where we are as humans or humanity or mankind or whatever? Because we all are one. We are at a place now in the present where we can create heaven, and with heaven, you still gonna have some hell, but you gotta balance it out. But if we hadn't been through the trauma during childhood and the past life traumas, we and worked through that and not giving up, we wouldn't have been able to handle the ascension and the blessings and the abundance that's coming. Because it's the opposite polarity. You can't get it's no such thing as just balance. You got the dark and the light. You have to balance it out. So we're gonna get into the reading. I think I'm gonna get into the reading first, then I'm gonna go into talking about the other issue, the other things about Black China, Tokyo Tony. I might be too close too. I might be too close, y'all. We gonna do this. Talking about the Pisces. Wonder should I talk about that first and then get into the book? Maybe I should. Talking about this new moon in Pisces. Oh, this new moon in Pisces, and then the moon before that. I can't recall what it was, but these energies now, it's bringing tests where you being tested on the work that you have done, and it's a shift that has happened. Either you gonna get whatever you in or whatever energy you in, you either gonna amplify. You gonna get more into spiritual things, or you gonna get more into this lower self. You gonna get either more spiritual, angelic, or you gonna get more demonic. Whatever on your mind, you're gonna go deep into it. It's a shift, it's a split that's already happened. It's like the trumpet has sounded. The chosen, and it ain't about skin color either. The chosen ain't about who you think you are, and because everybody ain't no king and no queen. Everybody is not. Everybody is not. It had to be some peasants and stuff like that, but it don't matter who you are or where you come from, what your skin color is. If you can get your spirit right and get that heart right and have that balance and that wholeness and that oneness and work on yourself and have them pure intentions, that unconditional love, that forgiveness and that compassion. I'm not saying this to say that you have to be a person. Trying to turn this other device on so I can talk to y'all on this device. I'm not saying you got to be a pushover, because you definitely don't have to be no pushover. Because you have people think when you talk about unconditional love and compassion and forgiveness, you talking about somebody that can be walked all over. No, you doing this stuff for yourself so that you don't have to be in fear and you can control your demons. Because we all got mess on the inside of us. And I'm not even going to say it's all bad, but it's, we're in this lower state, and when you're in the lower vibration, it's demonic. I'm not saying that's either good or bad, because we've been taught, that everything is hell or heaven or evil and good, but it's a balance to everything. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, this energy is testing you. Like Queen Cut was saying, she's a high priestess that comes up here on YouTube. She was saying that the people that that chose themselves, you gotta choose yourself, and you waiting and sitting at the crossroads for the universe to choose you. Oh, it's harder. It's harder when you made to do, like, you got to do it now. Like, you, instead of been working on yourself, doing the work through the pandemic and before the pandemic, you working on yourself. Now you gonna be tested, and it ain't never easy on this road. Because even I use the Bible for references too. It says the narrow is the way or whatever. Because um even people I notice people are running now. They like them demons is jumping out the box on them, because a lot of people have went into this spiritual stuff. They left religion. They went into this spiritual stuff with the wrong intentions. Wrong intentions. Someone went into it because they want to get into witchcraft and want to get somebody back. And it's normal to want to protect yourself, because we as a people, it's like nothing has worked so far. We look at Haiti. Haiti used the voodoo system of the Orishas and other deities to win the war against Napoleon, and they won. And actually, they've been paying for it ever since. And a lot of times they have demonized our I had that door open, letting some fresh air in and cleansing, and I had got my incense going too. I got my rose Palo Santo, and I be using my resin, my resin with my charcoal, but I'm doing the incense just as good. I got some Palo Santo rose incense. That's what I'm burning. And I got, maybe you can't see it, but I got my little love candle because it's Venus Day. Happy Venus Day. Um, I got my pictures. I draw too. I'm an artist of music and different things. I mean, I have to express myself in art. That helps me a lot. I have to do that to, um, you know, to, the by my Neptune being in the placement that it's in, and different places I express myself through art, through music, and Venus had heavy Venus placement. So that's desires and art, beautiful things. So that's my depiction of Mama Wata. That's the mermaid with the ancient serpent wrapped around her. That's the oldest god, and that's what we're reading about with this book, Matriarch Bay. And it's funny that they always dictated the serpent as being evil, but that is the oldest god, and you don't have to take my word for it, because I got this other book that I might get into after we read this one that I ordered, where this book was written from. It's a book that got the really depth of the stuff in. This is just I mean, it's good, and I'm grateful for Sister Penelope Stewart. But this is just kind of briefly telling you the knowledge that was lost. But I got some deep stuff. I even got a book about how the ancestral mothers were in the Americas. Yes, I got that too. So um, that's my depiction of Mama Wata, and that's Urzuli dealing with the Haitian voodoo and stuff. And that's the grand voice of the energy, the sacred power of the wood, of the forest, of the trees, of the woods. Because I was in contact. I mean, I was really in dealing with that energy when I was back home, and I was always in the woods and dealing with the trees and stuff. I'm always connected with the trees. So all of this stuff is inside of us. This is just, you're not worshiping it. It's just an example, just a symbol. Even this 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 author is like just different expressions of Mama. Like she's actually able to shape shift and change into even male figures, like male deities. Even Ganesh is a representation of Mama Wata. Even Daughter Earth, even this is a depiction of a form of Mama. You know what I'm saying? It's just she just it's so amazing. Like just it's my life has totally changed since I tapped into that energy, Mama Water, and so much healing has happened. So I don't see anything evil with it, because I don't I'm not perfect, but I know that walking this spiritual walk, I cannot be doing this because I want to get back at people that hurt me, and I want to use it to hurt people. When you go into it for that or money purposes, where I'm just trying to like do it, I mean, you're gonna get your for the energy you put out and the impact you make, you're gonna get wealth or whatever. It may not come in money form all the time, but wealth is in different forms. It could be longer life. It can actually be where you have favor in different areas with different companies and different people in high places. And wealth is so many different things. It's not all monetary gain. But I had to tap into the Mama Water energy, and even Kalima. I noticed I had to be at a certain place within my heart with healing and forgiveness and love, because when I was trying to tap into that energy and I was still, having some struggles with forgiveness and stuff like that, she came to me and told me that, and I also got confirmation from some of the gurus. I don't remember who it was, but they warned me not deeply like I was warned by Kalima. It was the way they said it, like you can't tap into that tantric stuff where you're doing the tantric work if you hadn't done certain levels of healing. And that's true. When I was doing that, I was trying attempting to do it, and I was still needing to heal from wounds and forgive. I couldn't really tap into it. And I'm gonna tell you something else. When you don't have the right intentions going into this spirituality and you don't have a pure heart and you're not balancing out, you're not grounding yourself, you're not doing the work, you're not going within, facing your demons, doing the shadow work, it's work. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. It takes a lot of work to know yourself. Once you know yourself, you know all things. Can't nobody, people can tell you something and you can definitely learn other stuff, but it's going to be more so like a confirmation of what you know from tapping in already from within. Um, like I said, I couldn't connect with certain energies when I was still working on healing, and I'm like, oh, they made me mad, and I'm angry with my family, and this and that. You can't. That's not what that's for, and it's not for well, once I learn how to do this, I can make a lot of money. I'm gonna make money from reading people palms and doing the tarot readings and doing the astrology. Once you get into that mindset and try to get into this stuff, especially in this Aquarius age, oh, you gonna run back to religion and say it was demonic. That's what I see. I see a lot of people. It's like they're being terrorized because they plan. You cannot play with this stuff without the right intention, without a pure heart, and you don't have to be like a light worker. But even if you working as the other energies like the dark worker or the whatever, it's a certain balance you got to have to yourself to be able to tap in, because if you playing with something that real and you ain't got a pure heart, oh yeah, you will be running back and doing what these people doing now, talking about, oh, I used to be a reader and I used to be into the deities and I used to be into this and that and Orishas, and it's all I guess it is demonic. If you sitting up here, they not gonna play with you. They know that spiritual world is real. It's real, Holyfield. That religion, that is a form of the real deal spiritual system. That religious stuff, that's washed down spirituality, where they teach you to go outside and ask for help. Like you praying to somebody on the outside, but that spiritual stuff, you going within you tapping into your higher source, which all this stuff here is within me. So I'm only tapping into what's already in me. I'm activating it. So when I when I when I have the right intentions, I can go higher and elevate it in a mindset of the collective, of unconditional love, of balance, of wholeness, of the right intentions. Now you can do stuff, whatever. I mean, it's no bad or good, but at the same time, you just got to have the right intentions. And a lot of times, if you're doing stuff for other people and they paying you have to be careful even with that, because you can't mess. You don't know what kind of karma those people have. You don't know what kind of things that they got going on, and I mean, you just have to really be. You have to be led, spiritually led, because you pay a big price when you not led by from within. So even like I said, I mean, I deal with a lot of different. I don't just deal with, like, I deal with my ancestors in Americas. Even here, like, I'm realizing that where I'm at now, yeah, I was led here, and I have decided to come here, like, before I even, it's deep. It's a reason for everything. Like, we chose to come back here. We chose our locations that we were going to be in at certain times, because once you tap into your purpose and know what you're sitting here to do, you gonna be in alignment. You're gonna be walking in the right path. You don't have to. Your intuition gonna guide you. Your higher source and higher self is gonna guide you in the right direction. So like I said, you can't come into this thing about money and want to be famous and want to be, because you gonna be running. You gonna be like them people on that movie. What, Evil Dead? Y'all know that series? And that damn movie, you gonna be running with it like you got your ass between your legs, cause then them spirits is not gonna be playing with you. But if you keep it real and protection is really unconditional love, grounding, balancing out, and going within and not fearing yourself. You the scariest thing on. Do you realize what's inside of you? That's what you're afraid of, is yourself. But if you take the time out and do the work and keep it real, you don't got nothing to worry about. You gonna be. It's not hard. It's not. When I say it's not easy, I'm saying it's not easy because we have been indoctrinated we have been taught to seek for validation and help from an outside source. They have taught us to wait on a savior when we are the Christ seed is within us, all of us, and we are our own savior. We are the Christ. So that's all I want to say on that. I think I said everything I want to say about fear and religion and spirituality. Because I know a lot of people are waking up now and they're wondering like, am I gonna be haunted by demons and is this am I wrong? I mean, if you got pure intentions and a pure heart, you gonna be. I'm telling you, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. It's when you get too much information and you're not doing nothing with it. Like you gotta put this stuff into action. You can't just like I can't just get up here and tell y'all like, let me check this thing to make sure that I'm okay. Yeah, I just have to check because I'm talking deep, and I know when I'm talking like that, a lot of times it might, but so far so good. And I ain't worried about how I look, and I might got mail in my eye. I took a bath, washed my face, but it's late, it's wee hours. But I know that's when the spirit is moving a lot of times. Um, let's go back to my thought because I needed to say that. What was I? Maybe I didn't need to say that. Okay, spirit. But like I said, um, you don't need to worry about like, are you on the right track or not? Because regardless of you don't have to throw your religion in the trash can, honey. You don't. You don't have to be. If you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, you don't have to be like, oh, I hate Jesus, and which sometimes I will say stuff like Jesus or the Christianity was some of the worst thing that happened to indigenous, so alleged like brother Yosef say, so-called black people, because we not black, we indigenous, and then it's probably another name that they called us because they probably didn't have indigenous back then. But we wasn't called black. I know we was called people of color, Negroes, and it went to black, and then was African American. But yeah. So the Nagas or what, I don't know. But that's where I know the word nigga may have come from, because Naga, the Naga snake, the serpent worshippers, it was all over the world, and that's some of the oldest spiritual systems is the serpent was one of the first primordial goddesses or gods, and some of these guys are both male and female androgynous that rose up from the primordial waters. So, you know, I mean, Naga, that's meaning the serpent worshiping tribe. These people used to walk around with serpents around their necks and stuff, the pythons and the cobras and stuff. So, and it's funny how we've been taught that was the evil. So, I mean, but that's some of the oldest spiritual systems is that was like one of the first goddesses or whatever. And a lot, like I said, a lot of these deities are neither male nor female. They can shape they through the myths or whatever. They can. Some of these people, they're not just myths, y'all. So we are connected to these deities. Some they were actually here. This stuff was actually happening. Before the fall, before they you know destroyed our vibratory rate to slow down like we are and forget who we are, coming back in this soul trap. And we have amnesia. When they say when you die and you go towards the light, that might be the delivery room where you coming back into the shit. So we want to ascend above that where we don't got to keep coming back and going through this stuff again. But it's no greater time to be alive than them, because we at a place now where we never been before. It's a lot of stuff happening, and it's not bad, all bad. The distractions are there, but you don't have to fall for it. You don't please don't be in fear. It's a lot of wonderful things happening there. Just go within, stay grounded. Get you some sun gazing and stuff in the morning, early in the morning when the sun come up. When it's set, get you some moon energy and the ground, walking out in the barefoot and stuff. I know I have to ground out. Even connecting with the trees, it helps me being there. I got my fountain on. That's what you hear. I try to be around, water, because I have a lot of water energy in my chart too. But I've always been like that. I always love the oceans and the rivers and the moving bodies of water. But I know this fountain helps me a lot with meditating and stuff like that. It helps a lot, and it's also like mama water type statue, but it's like a fountain mix. It looks like it came from Mexico, the old country or something. I mean, I'm so connected with it. But even in that, that's a symbol. It's all within you. You don't have to have all this stuff. You can just tap in right now. It's like the things that took people 10 and 20 years to get with lectures and stuff. Now, like the brother said, you can get it at night. They was them people like Bobby Hemmett, brother Yosef and them, Dr. Phil Valentine, Wayne Chandler, all those people, Billy Carson, even Miss Sister Myra. Let me name some other people. They was lecturing back in the 90s for hours and hours and hours. Y'all, we are in a wonderful time. We can get this knowledge and be transformed in as less than 90 days. It's amazing the time we are in. Because they have really labored, and it took them, sometimes Bobby Hill would lecture for 10, 11 hours at a time. They would just be hungry for the knowledge. I said, Lord, I was really, really, really like a teenager back then, but I wish I knew, but but even though we might was sleeping, we didn't know we was still being protected and feeling the energies. Cause look at us now. It's never too late. It's it's never too late. And like I said, you might not have You might not have the I might change this camera around. You might not have the all this stuff. I didn't have none of this stuff starting out. It was times I wanted to be going to these lectures and online or going, and I'd be like, oh Lord, I wish I could go. But I started saying, oh, I'm there. I started saying, I'm already. I started manifesting some stuff in it. Like I'm telling you, it works. Like I was just sitting there in my room, and I would be doing my spiritual stuff, working on myself. When I say shadow work, I'm talking about healing my inner self, healing my childhood trauma, facing my demons, holding myself accountable. Sometimes I'd be crying all night long, just me, myself, and I. And I was a person, I didn't like being by myself. I was married as real young, like a teenager, and I ain't never really been alone. But when I got to that place where them ancestors was whipping my ass, I had to get somewhere by myself. I had to let all that go because you can't do shadow work on yourself and be dealing with a whole lot of other extra stuff that you don't need. Cause that's enough working on you. But if you in a relationship, that's wonderful. You ain't gotta break up with nobody. If you can work with that person and y'all got something to work on and build together, that's fine. I'm all for that. But it's hard when you with somebody that's karmic or a familiar spirit type energy, and you trying to like work on yourself. You gonna catch hell. You gonna, cause that's a vessel to be used against you straight like that. I mean, I know, I've been there. So I said that to say all this, and then we'll talk about the abuse versus. Let me check it again. I'm talking about some serious stuff. Oh yeah. And then if we talking about abuse versus discipline. This is gonna be tough, and I'm gonna try to say it the best way I can, and I'm gonna try to be as transparent and as honest as I possibly can be. Um, a lot of times, and I'm gonna get on the Black China thing too. I'm gonna be as transparent and honest as I can be, and authentic. Well, I look at that situation. A lot of us have a lot to say about the way the Black China mama treats her Tokyo Tony, and but we are actually we used to that in a certain amount of way. Maybe not to that level, but it's very normal in our generations and the generations before us. Probably the generations before that. Even now, you got to be careful with these little girls growing up, like the little bitty girls and stuff, not being like that with your daughter, because that has been passed down to us, and we are very divided as women. And I'm pretty sure it's other cultures like that, but I know we got it bad because I know I experienced it. My friends have experienced, my cousins have experienced it, and I'm gonna be honest. I almost was bringing that curse right on with my daughter. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I had to stop myself in my tracks, honey, because I was getting to that point years ago. Yeah, this ain't been recent, but I got my shit together. I went somewhere and worked on myself because I said, you know what? I am not gonna be like what. I'm not gonna be the woman. I'm not gonna be the monster that I was trying to run away from, or the monster that I hated being treated like that by another woman that was my family member that should have been loving me and encouraging me, but they was like my enemy. So I'm not participating in that. So I stopped my stuff dead in my tracks before it got too late. I sure did. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can teach people how to do that because I know it ain't like I'm sitting up here judging nobody because I know that demonic spirit that she got. One minute she talking about, oh, Jesus this and I love God and God this and my daughter, and throwing off shade like when Black China was in that trial with those Kardashians, the whole damn trial, she on the on the internet talking about, oh, Chris got on a black stockings, they got a hole in it today. They were sitting in court looking at me. Wrong move. You know, she should have been low key until that girl got through that trial, which I think they did pay Black China something. That's why she asking her for money. And a little bit of gossip. But because I think that's why she asking Black China for money now. Because Black China did get some kind of compensation from them. Because I think she was gonna do an appeal, which I really think she has a case if she did do it. Because I really don't think that you know if she would go out there just you know I was talking to my daughter about it. We talk a lot and we compare these relationships about how we have improved and how we have come so far. One of these days she gonna get up here with me. You know she quiet. She born the same. She born. I think she born around the same time Black China is. So she one of them. She not. She kind of shy and quiet like that too. She kind of shy and quiet like that. You know how Black China acts. She don't say much. My daughter like that too. She don't say much. But let me tell you something about them people. Them Tauruses. Now Jaguar, she a double. She got Taurus in her most sun and moon. She a mess. But let me tell you something about them Tauruses. They might not say much, and you say a lot of hurtful stuff to them. It's hard for them to let it go and forgive. It's very hard for them. I thought that we could hold grudges. My side, but them Tauruses, that girl, my daughter remembers stuff that I don't even remember. She remembers stuff when she was a little bitty baby. I'm like, that's why I be thinking she all about me. She be like, look, I be like, girl, you remember when we did this? She said I was just a baby then, or I wasn't even born, but it seemed like she always been with me. That child remembers stuff that's from when she was a little bitty. I don't remember this stuff. They remember stuff detailed, vividly, and they remember it word for word. It's very, them people can hold some grudges. And one thing about them, that's the what is Taurus is the house of possessions and financing. They like to accumulate. They gonna have some daggone money. That's one thing you better bet your a Taurus gonna get some money. They're gonna get some money. They're gonna get some land. They're gonna get some property. They're gonna get some cars. They're gonna establish and build wealth. That's if they don't do nothing else. Them and them Capricorns. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Them Capricorns and them Taurus is gonna accumulate some wealth. You know. So, and I got a lot of people, in my circle, and friends and close friends, and very, very dear, very close friends. It's like Tauruses and the Capricorn. My dad is a Capricorn. Um, I have very really good associates and stuff that's Capricorn, so they gonna accumulate some wealth. That's not neither good nor bad though. Because sometimes you can get too caught up into accumulating wealth, and that earth energy, they earth signs, that's that earth, they possessions, earth. So you need to balance out with some water or some air or something. You need to have balance with them possessions too. But the one thing about them, they hold grudges. Them Tauruses. So she sit up here and she talk all that junk to that girl, and I know Tokyo Tony is hurt. She got some stuff going on from probably how her family of the women treated her. So she passing that down and doing that with her daughter. Now her daughter, look, she got a daughter. So this girl got to dealing with them Kardashians, and her daughter thinking that that is Dream's family, and they treat her good, but they hate her mama. So that girl, Black China, got a lot to deal with. Then she got the mother that's always, them words, child, them words. You be held accountable for them words. People just don't know. You got to be careful. Even if you're doing a good deed for somebody, even your child or whatever, it's your intentions and the loving and compassion. If you don't know how to be that way, it's time to go within and say, why am I like this? What happened to me for me to be talking to my children like this? Or, why am I so hurt? Why do I, you, it don't work with them people to feel like they owe you something. So she ain't gonna get nothing out of that girl acting like that. Like I said, I have been through not that, but I've been through some stuff because I was, like I said, I was trying to, the enemy had me deceived where I was going to pass that generational curse on down of mother against daughter, woman, because they divided us and they didn't put it in the books. When they did the witch trials and the woman genocide, any woman that could make up some tea with some herbs and could really have a dream, she would burn it at the stake, okay? Straight like that. They used them, but when they got too powerful in the Catholic Church, they killed all them women. And what they didn't kill, they raped, they forced marriages, they impregnated those holy women, the Isis daughters, the high priestesses of Isis, the Mommy Water, Mommy Isis. Those women were what established those bloodlines in Europe, those biracial children that you see in the history books where they didn't tell you where they came from. You didn't see nothing but a daddy around them that was a king or something. Those were those women that they raped and they forced them to have these babies so they could establish their bloodlines because they knew these women were the seed of Mama Water. Okay, when they took it, sometimes when I think about it, it just that's what that curse is about. And also, we gotta stop. That we done been indoctrinated and taught wrong. We don't supposed to be beating these kids. I don't care what nobody say. Cause I was like that too one time. I disciplined my children, but I was wrong. I tell you myself, I was wrong. You don't beat no child. I tried a different tactic with the children now, like the children in the family and stuff. That's like I tried talking to them from the time they were little and holding them accountable, taking things from them, and being consistent. You don't gotta beat nobody. That's what they passed down to us through that slaves thing, through that religion. The beat, spare the rod, spoil the child. You don't want nobody beating on you. You don't want nobody, no man or no woman beating on you, so you shouldn't be beating on no child. And some parents, they don't know how to just, they get so angry because the child done fucked up so bad, they go overboard. It's abuse. You don't do that. That's what we raising. We raising up sociopaths. We look at that movie Jeffrey Dahmer and shake our head because he was eating people. Well, a lot of the times what we got, it ain't eating nobody, but it's just as bad. It might not be eating nobody, but it got the mentalities of a sociopath, of a psycho, because they been being not beat. That beating don't make them do right. That beating just make them learn how to be slicker and sneakier and liars and turn them into criminals. And I'm telling you this because I'm saying this because I know the mistakes I made. I'm not saying telling you this because I'm perfect. I'm telling you this because I had to go within myself and get shit right. Yeah, so and then cussing at your kids, you notice how she get mad with Black China, she call her all kind of you don't talk to no child, you don't talk to no grown child like that. I know that is verbal abuse. We gotta start. We have been masculine long enough, y'all. We have been harsh and ratchet and just mean and evil and mean and surly to each other long enough. It's time to put a little honey and sugar and show a little more compassion and unconditional love. It's over for all that. It's over. I was on this listening at this platform. They wanted me to come up, and they do a lot of arguing on that platform. It was a discussion that I heard that the women were talking like they had some sense, and they was talking with you, and everybody was taking their time and letting other people speak, and they were being respectful. But it's been times I've seen them on that platform just like tearing each other heads off. And you think I'm gonna come up and do that? And I done spent all my childhood arguing with niggas and women and men, and I'm gonna go on a platform and argue with a bunch of women, and it ain't doing nothing for the community. It ain't benefiting nobody. Nick, all this arguing they been doing is shaking their necks and beating on each other and killing each other. Ain't nothing happening in the community. The kids is still suffering. The kids are still angry. The kids don't know who they are. They go to the schools and we wonder why in my area why these boys is with these other races, cause they sit in the classroom all day and that's all they teach them. And we get home, we send them in the room. I ain't saying I necessarily did this, but when I say we, I'm talking about they look at us as a fucking collective. Just because I might be doing something right, if these bunch of people over there, they gonna look at how they do on the news. You think when you go to other countries, they looking at you like, oh, you're not like these other black people. They look at us as a fucking collective. And we wonder why our kids like, oh, in my city, that's all you see them boys with. They got them old yikes women. That's all they. When my boys was, when my boys started school, Spirit led me not to put them in public school, and I mostly did homeschool. They ain't want to go to school because it was a, school ain't public school ain't about shit. We know that. I knew that when I went, and we know our kids it was gonna get worse and worse over time. But the Spirit was like, don't put them in that school system, and I wish they'd have never went. I wish they would have never. I'm telling you, that school is indoctrination, and it's fucking them up, and I mean, I'm grateful, knock on wood. Mine turned out okay, but it could have been better if I would have known the things I know now. But they're good. Now that don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for them. But if I would have kept them away from those systems like that, child, trying to tell you, I'm telling you so you can get you got time if they little and stuff. If they little kids, now you can teach them at home. It ain't you can work around your work schedule. You don't gotta do it in the morning. If you working all night and stuff like that, you can work around your schedule and whatever. I know it's not easy. We gotta come together as a community again, and the mothers and the parents and stuff. That's what I'm willing to do, is to help and teach and be a gap in there, and try to be the mothers or the big mama in them. We gotta get some of them back. We gotta get out of the clubs and try to chase these young boys and be big mamas again. We the kids need us. That's we need ourselves too. It make you feel good when you out here doing things for the community, and giving back, and showing love, and it's pure. You ain't trying to be jealous of nobody because they younger than you, or because it's daytime and you want to guide. You got that pure intention when you want to guide them towards a better life, so they can be the mother that they've been called to be, like mama, water, daughters and stuff. Not this patriarchal oppressive shit that they done taught us. That's why it's all fucked up. And like I say, the men were better off. I make sure the men were better off during the matriarch rule than they are now, because it went from sexism to racism to capitalism. Cause they throwed all the men under the bus, not just the black men, but they throwed all of them under the bus. If they ain't the 1%, then fuck them too. And they ain't getting the women. The women you got. When we ruled the matriarch, the men didn't have to worry about no damn child. Don't go by my word. It was if the mother tribe. That's what the child looked to. Who the mother tribe was. That's where that saying come from. Mama baby, daddy maybe. Because we look towards a mama tribe. The man didn't have no stress on him, and you did not have to stay married to nobody, and they did not care about who you were with in the bedroom. Long as it wasn't no old, long as you was not hurting nature, the elderly, and children. It was your business who you slept with. And I don't even think they had, you definitely didn't have to go down to no courthouse to get married. Please. You just go in the woods and probably jump over the limb and shit. And you good. And you building. And it was no poverty or wars or people being great or children being SA. You know what I'm saying? Assaulted. Sick. Assaulted. So I just said all that to say, this system is crashing. They're going out with a good fight, but it's the rise of the matriarch. It's the rise of the matriarch, and that's not bad for men. See, men think that, oh, if the women rule, then we gonna be no. Mama Water not gonna let no women come into power this time. That's gonna be all fucked up and oppressing men. We got enough of them women. They need to go somewhere and sit down and do some fucking healing. They hate the man because of what the man they chose was a Pookie and Ray Ray. I mean, I could hate men too, cause I decided that I'm gonna be with a Pookie and Ray Ray or whatever. I mean, that ain't all men. It's some decent men out here. It's like I take accountability for my stuff. I done chose some it's some decent ones. I mean, I know how to pick them when I want to pick them. I know how to choose some decent men. But a lot of times, a decent man is not the one that's on TV looking like the athletes, or he ain't the one that know how to dress when you first meet him. You might gotta work with him and put him on some. You can put him on some game and shit. The one that's the decent man. He might be the average Joe. He might not be making those six figures, but if he consistent and he helping you out and he consistently making a paycheck, Who are you to think you deserve to have six figure income and you can't if you cannot do it for yourself, why you feel like somebody else supposed to give you something that you can't do for yourself? I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? Why do you deserve something you can't do for yourself? And what is he getting? Like, I'm just being real. Like, you want the man to be all 6 foot tall and 6'4" and look a certain way. But what have you look? What do you got to offer? Like, you might be pretty, but what else qualities do you have to offer to that union, to the community? Like, you can't just be pretty and that's it. Like, come on, no. A man with sense is not just gonna choose no one woman because she look. That's a man that's dealing in his lower self. He not looking for a wife or a kingdom builder or an empire builder or a partner to help him. He just in a lust mode. If he looking for somebody just because they pretty, because it's statistically speaking, from what now I ain't gonna say statistics because I don't even believe in all the statistics, but I done said I've been on some of these platforms and just be observing how these men talk. They my we good with a good 6 or 7 because you get a dime, boy, you can't do nothing with it. So and they ain't they when they look to marry and build with a woman, they ain't looking for the woman with the biggest ass and the breast sitting up the highest anyway. They want just an average woman where they can listen to them and they can build together. You know, I ain't saying you supposed to be controlled and oppressed by no man, cause see the patriarchy don't fuck that up. Where it's a lot of men that got the wrong mentality about a woman. They think a woman is only good for having a baby, and that's it. And once you can't have no baby or whatever, then it's over for you once you get a certain age. That's not true. That's that patriarchy shit is failing. I ain't saying these women. The women are the patriarch has messed up all of us. You know, to a certain point, we have to reprogram ourselves, regroup, regenerate ourselves, and get the mindset like we supposed to have with balance, wholeness, oneness, unconditional love, compassion, and get out of this matrix mindset. You can be in the world but not of it. So I think I might have talked about everything. Yeah, I have. Did I talk about? Yeah, and now it's time to read. Yeah, I think I talked about everything. So I stopped at the indigenous Chinese. So I'm gonna read about that. And this is the book by Penelope Stewart. It's called Matriarch to Patriarch: The Black Woman God. And like I said, this is a little um it's not long, but it's just a run through of what the knowledge that she went deeper and studied. And I got the books too. The book is like 500 pages. The other one is not that long about the ancestral mothers, indigenous alleged black mothers, the black mothers in was in America. But the other one is very thick. The one by mommy Ice, well she's a mommy Isis, Mama Zobi. I'm gonna say the name right, but okay, in indigenous Chinese matriarch in the Americas. I'm gonna read without the glasses for a while till my eyes get tired. Historical records indicate that matriarch was in the North and South America. Let me check this again, cause YouTube. Okay. Mm-hmm. Matriarch in the Americas. Historical records indicate that matriarch was in the North and South Americas. Many Aboriginal ancestors are known today as African Americans. Now, this is the indigenous Chinese, meaning the black Chinese. So it said matriarch in the Americas. Historical records indicate that matriarch was in the North and South Americas. Many Aboriginal ancestors are known today as African Americans were already here before and during the pre-Columbian era. Many of our ancestors were described as Moor or Moors. This history is hidden from society, and the only reason this has successfully been kept a secret in the Americas because many of our elder ancestors were killed or shipped to another colony in a foreign demographic. They didn't only abduct Aboriginal people from Africa, the European patriarchs would ship Aboriginals to other colonies to prevent them from claiming legal ownership to the land. There was an ancient, powerful matriarch system present in the Americas. They were mound builders. The mounds represent the holy servant's uterus known as the Amphe. Our ancestral priestesses and prophetesses used to perform spiritual rituals with careful review of matriarch history. You can find the presence of mommy water Did you hear that? I had that door open. With careful review, she said, with careful review of matriarch history, you can find the presence of Mommy Water Goddess worship all over the world. There are mounds in St. Louis, Missouri, Arkansas, and Illinois, which indicate African matriarch presence in the Americas. When the European invaders arrived here, they classified our ancestors as Native Americans or Indians. We are Aboriginal people, ancient ones. We migrated all over the world. Many were already here from the Pangea continental drift, a supercontinent that existed during the late Paleozoic and early Mesozoic era. The most monumental evidence is the famous Mon site Wichita, proper, now known as Poverty Point. So that's the book I got. We are Wichita. Talking about the ancestral mothers over here in Americas. It said it's the famous Mon, it's the Wichita proper, now known as Poverty Point. We have always been here. They know exactly who we are in one report by John Simbalini of Lewis and Clark Expedition, aka Spies. She said they were spies. They recorded our Aboriginal ancestors as Wichita, with Washita, Choctaw, and other tribal names. The report also said not to disturb the ancient ones. There were clearly a matriarch system in the Americas. The Hopi tribe is said to have both gender roles were equal. No gender were inferior, meaning the men and the women were equal. Women participated fully in political decisions making. What is it? Sladlegel explains the cultures remained matrilineal and housing was matrilocal. She goes on to explain why there was a female superiority, as that the Hopi believed in life the highest good was with female principle activated in women and Mother Earth. The women were important leaders to the institution of the clan. Aracruz Confederacy, or a league of 5 to 6 nations, also known as the Haudenosaunee nations or tribes before U.S. This is before the U.S. became a nation, operated by the Great Binding Law of Peace, a constitution by which women participated in the league's political decision making, including deciding to proceed with war. Doug George Canentio observed the fact that mothers exercise central and moral political roles. The mothers. The league was formed during the 1000 to 450, but the Constitution was oral until written in about 1880. The dates are not definite. It was the women who were heads of families, clans, or villages, sometimes called Grandma or Queen Mother or Big Mama, creator of all. The emphasis on this cannot be stressed enough. It is these ancestral mothers in the Americas that are beginning to re-emerge through so-called African American women, for a lack of a proper term, that has been applied to identify our modern day Aboriginal ancestral mothers. She said they call them African American women, but they really the indigenous or ancestral mothers. This book is written in honor of these ancestral mothers who cannot be here. The book is their voice to tell their stories. My great grandmother, we refer to as Big Mama, Isabel Hill, told my mother that we were descendants of the Blackfoot tribe. She was a tall, beautiful, smooth, dark-skinned black woman with slanted eyes, with a no nonsense attitude. My Big Mama never had a picture of Jesus in her home. She was very peculiar too. I didn't understand some of the things she did until I found out my true identity. My grandmother, Lula Mae Holmes, would share stories about how my great grandmother, Big Mama, was afraid of storms, and how my grandmother would split the storms. My grandmother was afraid of storms too. So she would split the storm, y'all, so the storm wouldn't come near their home. Aboriginal ancestors were already here. We are the people of the land. We are divine nobility, children of the first and only Mother God. Our ancestral mothers were given the secrets of nature and were metaphysical geniuses superior in spiritual understanding, arts, writing, and music, international trade, commerce, architecture. We had all the resources to create astonishing civilizations. The founder of Morris Science Temple of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, presented himself as a protector, carrying salvation symbolized by the Aboriginal woman. I have read many historical books on the history of the Aboriginal ancient people. Most have been written in honor of the patriarch era, meaning the men. Although many Afrocentric men writers will tell you the Aboriginal African ancient women are the true gods, they fail to elaborate on the earth story of our ancestral mothers. When patriarch systems came to the Americas, y'all, listen. When patriarch systems came to Americas, it was through French and Spanish men marrying ancestral mothers. It was the empress who owned the land. These foreign men in some way made our ancestral mothers think that they needed to marry these foreign men to help protect the ancestral mother's land. Many of these children born for these marriages would later call themselves French, Cajun, or Creole. Basically, they are biracial children. The French and many Spaniards seem to have a friendly relationship with the Aboriginals in the Louisiana Purchase area. There was a fluctuation of many Frenchmen and Spaniard men marrying Aboriginal women. I don't know if the marriages were all authentic. Frenchman Marquis de Maison Rouge married into the imperial family of Wachita. Empress Claire Cyr Ayamatarea. It was no surprise the marriage was never given recognition by the Roman Catholic Church. The European was well aware of the ancient empire of the mound builders. The Aboriginal ancestors could possibly be way older than ancestors of ancient Egypt. Ancestral mothers migrated, leaving areas and left their markings, the Mons, later to be reconstructed by patriarchs as pyramids. The ancestral mothers say pyramids represent the patriarch's spiritual aspect of control and dominance in the world, which is the same pyramid scenes we see in the business religions, Freemasonry, and political structures today. The truth in plain sight, but we miss the message. The Omphale, the holy cervix, uterus symbolizes Mother Earth, nature, life and death, the mysteries of cosmic connection to the universe. The Omphale was also used as an altar or a place for healing ceremonies, not to be confused with the Omphale. When patriarch became established in all desired aspects in the world, it did not acknowledge or honor the nature of morality in their spiritual practices. Religion were created to dominate and control people's lives, especially spiritually. Humanity has not evolved into our natural spiritual being connected to Mother Earth. We have not integrated our lives, mind, and soul into our morality. Many men agreed to suppress the ancestral ancient ones' matriarchs' mentality, economically, physically, politically, and especially spiritually. Listen, many men agreed to suppress the ancestral ancient ones, meaning the matriarchs, the women, mentally, economically, physically, politically, and especially spiritually. The Spanish and French historical records are filled with reports of a highly civilized agricultural society here in the Americas. Ancient ancestral mothers gave birth to civilizations. They are the original owners of all lands from Atlantic, South, and North America, Canada, Gulf of Mexico, East and West Florida, which is the domain of the Wichita Empire, a land mass of 30 million acres. Historical records show extensive trading in one region. The U.S. tried to claim in the Americas known as the Louisiana Purchase. Abraham Lincoln called it Little Egypt. In the 7th century, Western European Christians, Spanish conquistadors, documentation mentioned Queen Khalifa, which means God rules and empress. She was ruler of California, Island, Baja, and Hawaii areas of black Aboriginal people. She was a commander of fleets of ships that carried her to various islands, lands, including Africa, which enabled Queen Khalifa to keep in constant contact with ancestral mothers around the world. She was a fierce military warrior with the defense of griffins and other mystical animals to help combat invaders. Oh, wow. Queen Khalifa. According to author of Adventures of Esplandian, states, no, the right hand of the Indies are in there in the islands of California is a terrestrial paradise, which is inhabited by black women without a single man among them, and they lived in the manner of Amazons. They were robust of body with strong, passionate hearts and great virtue. The evidence clearly shows that African matriarchs' influence can be seen all over the world. If we research history properly without being biased, we will find real answers. I had to read several books to document the information in this book so future generations can know the full truth. The influence of patriotism swept across the world. Wars were born out of patriotism. That is what all the war in history, his story is all about. Patriarchs' dominations of women, children, nations, lands, animals, and nature itself. This didn't happen overnight. It took centuries for patriarchs' political and religious powers to organize. The influence put a strain on unity across the African continent. It caused many of our ancestral mothers to migrate and settle in other areas in the world. They were determined to keep their divine spiritual connection with the cosmos and nature. This invasion only weakened the indigenous Aboriginal people and led to a downward spiral of their futures. During the transatlantic slave trade, American and Americans' Aboriginal ancestral religion practices varied. There were several polytheist religions, polytheistic religions. The influence of patriarchal religions, Islam was a popular and accepted in Africa. However, for many, this didn't prevent their ancestral spiritual practices across the cultural groups. They all shared a common belief in a supreme creator, a greater God among the lesser deities. The enslaved Aboriginal Africans and Aboriginal Americans continued to practice the rites, rituals, and cosmologies of ancient ancestors. They told stories, sang, healed, and expressed other forms of cultural art. So it's saying that even though they did adopt Muslim religions and stuff, they still did their spiritual practices like they do in Africa. Over there in Africa, let me see if this thing's still going. Oh. Yeah, over there in Africa, they might be Muslim or whatever Christian, but they still believe in Yoruba and whatever spiritual. I ain't saying it's the purest form of the spiritual system because it's been infiltrated and a lot of it's been watered down, but they still try to practice their ancestors stuff. It ain't worship. All them cultures that venerate their ancestors except us over here in America. When you tell these people over here, these black Christians, that you venerate your ancestors, they have a whole fit talking about demons. And I'm like, do you know that the word they got angels from ancestors? That's basically the same thing. But you say something about ancestors, they like, oh, that's the demons. But if you say something about like Jesus or whatever, they like, oh yes, that's my savior. But what is confusing is they perform rituals when they doing the bread and wine and the cross, and they doing rituals when they celebrating the fact that he died on a cross. But they say he was hung on a tree too in the Bible. So I'm like, I ain't gonna get into that. So you mean to tell me it's all right to do one ritual because of a religion, but you gonna demonize people doing stuff that's older than Christianity? Okay. Yeah. Well, guy. Okay, they did a good job. They did a good job, boy. I give them props. They did a good job. That indoctrination, woo, boy, they did a good job. Okay, enslaved ancestors and European religions in the 18th century. The Anglican missionaries decided to introduce Christianity to slaves in the southern colonies. However, many of the Aboriginals known as Africans desired to keep the rituals and the spiritual practices of their ancestors. The missionaries were happy with the refusal of Africans to Christianity. The main reason missionaries failed in converting Africans because their religious doctrines are nothing but revised religions that came from Africa. The belief in sacrifices, I was just saying this, listen. The belief in sacrifices or the remission of sin was African belief thousands of years before Abraham. The Ten Commandments are in the African Constitution before this so-called patriarch called Moses. The Africans that chose to adopt Christianity as a religion also kept the religion of their ancestors messed into Christianity, creating an interesting tapestry of belief and spiritual practices called hoodoo or hoodoo. Okay, so they saying that the Africans chose to adopt Christianity as a religion, also kept the religion of their ancestor mashed into Christianity, creating an interesting tapestry of beliefs and spiritual practices called hoodoo. And the Catholics respect it. There were charms made, well, voodoo, but hoodoo is what we did in the Americas. There were charms made, for example, crosses to ward off evil spirits. Christ was a healer in comparison to the priests in Africa. Christianity and African spirituality was a unique new spiritual practice that influenced the birth of many other spiritual practices. The similarities, listen now, the similarities, Catholicism and voodoo are remarkably ones must ask the question, was Catholicism derived from voodoo? She's saying that voodoo is the Catholic religion is so similar to voodoo. So she's saying that was did they copy voodoo? Voodoo religion is one of the original religions of Africa. Voodoo are diverse and expansive as Africa herself. It is an ancestral spiritual practice. The religious practice is more than 10,000 years old. Many people don't know it was derived and headed by a woman goddess, Mami Wata, and she was the mother and father. She was worshipped as God throughout the ancient world. This was before the rise of patriarchy, who vowed to end the feminine masculine principle, later followed by numerous patriarch invaders. The matriarch authority was ruined, and Mami Wata remained suppressed by ambitious patriarchs who fought for control over her kingdoms. This was the beginning of the fall of African people. Many African patriarchs elevated their own gods of thunder, fire, and war above the divine authority of Mama Water Goddess. The African patriarchs began to dominate the spiritual practices and economic structures of the matriarchal system. Aboriginal African women have been oppressed ever since. Today, many of the diaspora in African traditional religions accept women are inferior as being about ancient African history and culture. This assessment is not true. Western historians and scholars have also adopted this mindset and reinforced this practice. However, this is so far from the truth. Accounts of history, the survival of voodoo and mommy remain after the invasions. Devotees created a new name and reincorporated it into their new mythologies. The oldest myth of Yeve voodoo is Mami Minoa or Nana Buluku, who rose from the sacred waters on top of a great mountain that was called Li or Earth. Mami is the self-creatress who gave birth to the sun and all voodoo deities of Yeve voodoo pathogen. Mami primary deities are Awasa, Dinsu, and Iyansu. All have the power to change their gender at will, so they shapeshifted. Mami was also known as Persephone, Kali, Isis, Ishtar, Artegatus, Poseidon, Artemis, Demeter, Diana, and a host of other names. So Mami was known by all these different names. The first spiritual institution was Mami Water, an ancestral tradition, one of the oldest surviving remnants. Once a powerful matrilineal priestess known as Sibyls during ancient era, presently identified as Amagasis and Mamisis, Mami Isis, Mami Isis. The shrines were called Mami's Central. Mami Central to the holy structures was a mound called the Amphi, which represented the holy cervix. This was before the phallic was created, meaning the phallic. You know what that means, like the penis of representing the religious system. The Sibyls matrilineally is inherited through the blood of the African mother. The first order of Sibyls was worshipped throughout the ancient world as the original prototype goddess, or as the representation of the divine African mother. Since the dawn of time, the African divine mother was revered and worshipped. It is she who gave birth to all the solar masculine deities, whose celestial symbol was represented by the sun and sometimes the moon. Later represented by totemic symbol, the bull. Yeah, because I know in my Book of Doors Tarot, the bull, the lion, the ram, more recently the fish. The divine African mother originally manifested herself to Africans as ancient water deities. Ancient water deities. See? Contrary to what Europeans' culture will have you believe, mermaid myths originated in Africa. So the Little Mermaid ain't far off by having old girl as one, because that's where they originated from, Africa. The water deities were known as Oannas, later known as the Bible as Noah. So they saying that in this book that the Oannas, they changed the name to Noah. That's what it was, the water deities. Ooh. Poseidon and Dagon, Afro-Babylonian priest and historian Berosos, in an ancient Afro-Chaldean account, witnessed aquatic reptilian creatures named Oanos come up from the Indian Ocean. I remember reading about this. The Western world depicts these creatures as aliens. This is nothing more than a method to cover up the true origin of these creatures. Oannas taught the Africans sacred laws, so the Oannas were like mermaid creatures. They even witnessed them. The Europeans witnessed them coming up out of the Indian Ocean. Somebody said that the Europeans tried to capture one of them mermaids when they came up, and so she just stopped coming up. Said they were like Mama Water was coming up out of the water, and they set a trap. And they almost caught us, and she just said, fuck it. She just don't come up like that no more. Ain't that something? This is real. This is real. Let me check this out, because I've been on here for a while. Said she don't come up there like that no more. Okay. Uh-huh. I'm going to get it together. But YouTube be tripping sometimes. These deals here. Ooh. I done got deep in this reading. Okay, so they said these deities would come, these water mermaids or Oannas would come up and teach the African sacred laws, agriculture, writing, geometry, architecture, how to build and consecrate shrines, including spirituality. Oannas and other mommy deities were a total of 8. 7 remain deities to represent the divine fears of nature. It is said that the Orishas are deities that originated from mommy water. Oannas was also paired with the consort Dagon, meaning a guy, man, meaning fish, before Oannas was masculinized. Also, they had a male consort, which was a Dagon. Dagon was worshipped as Poseidon by the Libyo Cretans and later by the Philistines. The Sibyls were African queen mothers adored in ancient times under the title names such as Ashtoreth, Diana, Isis, and many other names. These deities are not human, but rather a manifestation of the divine logos, law principle, or the authentic form of Mommy as goddess. It is understood that all world religions are extensions of her original divine logos, or a counter or corruption of it. History indicates that present patriarchal religious systems are versions of a more ancient sacred matrilineal order that was stolen from the queen African mothers, Sibyls. Mommy water is expressed as pantheon of ancient female and male deities who are cosmic, genetically linked to African people through blood of their ancestral mothers. It is these African mothers who were the original guardians to be established on earth. The worship of Mommy Water is the underlying mental, spiritual, and economic root behind the collective suffering in Africa. The world has tried to integrate it into modern religion and popular culture. Mommy Water has been overlaid as Kali or Ganesh, which are personifications of Mommy Water. For example, the hit series Salem, a shot about witches that band together to overthrow the patriarchal order to reinstate the old ways of Mommy Water worship. The Hollywood movie The Last Witch Hunter is about the war on the Sibyls. Another movie, The Suicide Squad. The character Enchantress in truth represents a Sibyl. Take notice to the so-called witches in those movies. They appear to have dark features. Many people are not aware of this history, so it has been overlooked. However, to fully understand goddess veneration, you must travel to the original ancestral home where the clans of Mommy Water Voodoo first began in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. There was a war on gender before race or class wars. There was a war on gender before race or class wars. The Sybil's ancestral mother, priestesses, prophetesses have complicated the patriarch's account of history. It has been disguised in Western religions. The church hired what they call Sibylists, similar to the Egyptologists to see in our present day, to revise as their stories in the Bible. The revision was carefully done because there were no names to identify gender pronouns, and names were created to describe masculine and feminine energy. The corrupted scriptures and doctrines have caused suffering, massive spiritual ignorance, and wars. This was done first among the patriarch Afro-Pharaonic order and became popular to other nations. The Catholic Church monopolized on the African high priestess and seized total power and were directly responsible for the destruction of their mystery schools, temples, and libraries. All patriarchs preserved the history, poems, prophecies of African high priestesses, later to be used by their scholars in plays, stories, and their Bible. So she's saying they took the what y'all seeing in the Bible, the women wrote it. The men took it, the patriarch one. They weren't all the men. There's some of the men that were helping them out. It was some men that stood with the matriarch. But the ones that didn't took their writings, they destroyed the women, took their writings and used them all over the world and in the Bible. And in their poems and their plays and in their stories. The prophecies, oracles, and revelations of the Sibyls were routinely sold, stolen, and collected by various means throughout the ancient world. For example, there were 9 Sibyls given masculine identities such as, so these were women. They was given masculine identities such as Moses, Noah, Christ, or Buddha. Each of these characters represent a Sibyl, the incarnations in 9 cycles, the Radhas, the rays, the divine saviors of humanity manifested as the Messiah to announce the end of a cycle. The Hebrews condemned the Sibyls in their Bible by calling her, oh yeah, the Hebrews condemned the Sibyls in their Bible by calling her Bahalath, all meaning evil serpent. Mm-hmm. Y'all hear that right? The Hebrews condemned the Sibyls in their Bible by calling her Bahalath, all meaning evil serpent. The Tower of Babel in the Bible is in its reference of the matriarch system that was torn down by the patriarchs. The ancestral mothers were making a kingdom that recognized a divinity in nature that reached to the heavens. God goes on to confuse the language of the people in the story. This is the description of the written lies. She said, this is the description of the written lies they told about the Sibyls. The story of Lilith, listen, the story of Lilith is the story of the matriarchs refusing to accept the patriarch system. So the patriarch God makes another woman from Adam's rib. Her name was Eve. This is only one of the examples of how patriarchs began creating ridiculous stories, men born from dust or semen on the earth, which is impossible. Scientists have recorded finding remains of a female humanoid called Lucy. The story of Lucifer and fallen angels being banished from the heavens for refusing to bow down to this new patriarch and creation of a man is a story of matriarchs and her devotees, followers being exiled from their own empires. Men were making themselves God. This was an insult and an assault on Mother Nature herself. After this was done, the color of God was changed by European patriarchs. In the Catholic Mass of the Dead, they have a verse which reads, Tes David cum Sibylla, which they recognize Samaria, an African high priestess. Higgins, a similar inspired by archaeological evidence and DNA, rebuked the white virgin myth. He was conscious of African high priestesses' spirituality and tells us there is not a single spiritual tradition or system of the Christians which they can properly call their own. The years after so-called Christ's death, mystics and scholars claim to have found the birth mother of Christ. Her name was Mommy Devil. This explains possession of some members in the Catholic Church. Mommy Water, Holy Spirit kept manifesting in many of the members of the church. There is no devil that possesses many of them. It is Mommy Water Spirit. Also, so she's saying that when you look at them movies like The Exorcist and stuff, that won't no demon. That was Mommy Water coming through because they done all the stuff they done did to her and her daughters. That speaks through the members. So she's saying that was Mommy Water speaking through them people in that Catholic church when you see them priests throwing that stuff on them people. So she was mad Roman Catholicism and African paganism were later infused together to create a religion known as Voodoo or Santeria. So Roman Catholicism and African paganism